Tyler Hoover here from Hoovy's Garage. And no, you don't need to adjust your set or change the YouTube channel. This is Steve Magnante's YouTube channel. I'm just going to do my best to fill in for him this week as he continues to have his health struggles to do my own series of junkyard crawls. But I am no Steve Magnante. He is a PhD in full tenure when it comes to junkyards. I am just a humble grad student. So I'm going to do my best to give you my own series of videos on cars that I know. Now, a bit about me. I am a YouTuber first, but I met Steve Magnante about 3 years ago when I started doing Barrett Jackson's live TV coverage with him, and I was a fan of his first. Watched the show for over 20 years, along with his other projects over the years, including his junkyard crawls. So the opportunity to work with him was a dream come true, and he is such a nice, amazing guy, and it's so terrible what he's going through right now, but we didn't want his YouTube channel to suffer because of it, so I'm going to fill in with this series of videos and start with this car right here. It is a 1990 Mercedes 300 SL. It was designed by Bruno Sacco. This is the first year of it. A very long-lived chassis going from 1990 until 2002. But this being the birth, it has the smallest engine offered in the United States. We'll look at that in a little bit. It also had a number of technical advancements from the previous generation 107 SL that also had a very long life, 1972 to 1989. So Mercedes, they weren't redesigning cars every year like most automakers during the time. They stuck with the chassis for a very, very long period. But when they did upgrade, their advancement set a standard for the world, and that's what this SL was. So let's start the tour. Most likely the biggest advancement in the 129 SL was the introduction of the power retractable top. Now this was hydraulic powered, not electric, and with this one being degraded, we can probably see some of the hydraulic lines in here. It's secured pretty well right now, but it looks like some have been sold. There have been hydraulic rams in here. You can see the lines remaining with the relay to release the latches here in the front, and in the back there would have been another latch and pumps to make all of this work inside. Here is actually the valve block, I believe, for the power retractable hardtop, along with an aftermarket 6-disc CD changer right there. But here on the other side, you can get a pretty good view of the hydraulic ram right here for the roll bar. Now this roll bar was power adjustable. You could have it up or down at all times, which for a window deflector, it was very handy, but also it was automatic, had a gyro in it. When you were about to flip over in the car could detect that, and it would deploy this roll bar in an emergency kind of situation to keep the driver, the occupants, from being injured or decapitated. So you can see the complicated system there, which controlled everything. Let's see a few more rams. Here's one that is loose in here, probably what controlled this part of it going up and down there. So a very advanced, very complicated top system that as they age, they would tend to leak. You could fix one ram up here that would actually leak in your lap if it exploded the wrong way. Very embarrassing if you had a passenger at a date, but you'd fix one and usually it would go to the next weakest link. So when you repaired it, you sort of had to do all of them. Could be very expensive at the dealer, rebuilding them, thousands of dollars. A lot of advancements inside as well. You can see the start of one here. We had keyless entry and a little LED right here to show whether you lock or unlock the car. This is red or green. And inside, well, quite a mess, but you can see the big door panel here, very thick, huge insulation on Mercedes cars, what they're known for. 2 speakers. But we'll get this out of the way, and you can see there is the shifter, automatic transmission. Now this is probably in lockout right now, but it would have a slap shift shifter, which you could pop it down into first, go through the gears without using the wrong gear in sort of a drag race situation, which nobody did in these, I suppose. But this is very much a grand touring car. Let's see, the cluster is long gone. We don't have the miles, but in here would have been an optional car phone. In this case, it's just a cubby, but optional in 1990 was a built-in car phone where you could dial and have a little LED screen right there. Very James Bondy. And the glove box, well, went away to make room for the airbag. Dual airbags on this car, but they made up for it with a roll-top desk in here, and you can see room for the tape deck and all that stuff. Now, Bruno Sacco penned this design, and it was very, very advanced, futuristic, and that's probably why they hung on to it for so long, over 10 years, 12 years of production from 1990 to 2002. But this being the first year, I believe, it is a very early production car. You can see this is the driver's seat sitting on the ground right here. Also very advanced for its time, built-in seat belt, and the seat would adjust all the power operations, but you wouldn't have to move the headrest. As you move the seat back, the headrest would adjust automatically to your height with the seat belt height. But let's go inside, check the production date on this side. It is, looks like 9 of 89 production dates, so at 89 productions. So this is a very, very early example of the 129 SL, and very cool that it's the humble little inline six. Like I said earlier, most of them had the V8s. So let's pop the hood here. Ooh, okay. This is where I sort of need Shane. I'm kind of one-handing it here. Upsy daisy. There we go. All right. And under all that fecal matter and stuff is the inline six, making this the 300 SL. 6 cylinders here, no turbo, normally aspirated. You can see the 2 sets of exhaust manifolds out the side here. Timing chain in the front, no timing belt to change. The ignition all built in here. The spark plugs underneath all of that poo, but also Bosch mechanical fuel injection. That's what that spidery looking thing is right there. You have the throttle body and the fuel injection. Mercedes was the first to introduce ABS many decades ago, and that's the latest system right there. You can see the fuse panel as well. And one really cool feature in this car is the mono wiper, which we'll put it back down. You see right here, just one wiper for the car, and it had 2 different pivots, so it would kind of go across the windshield. It would go up and across and back over. So the mono wiper system, it was on the SL and the 124 or the E-Class of the era. Now, a big problem with these from the early 90s until 1995 was Mercedes was forced to design the wiring to be biodegradable. They didn't want this car going into the junkyard and continuing to pollute with wiring, so they forced the insulation to be something that would degenerate over time. Unfortunately, it did it as it was in the car with new customers, so from 90 to 95, there's a big issue with biodegradable wiring harness, and then this would actually fall apart and then wires would touch and you'd have all kinds of electrical problems. So either it's been fixed by now, most of them, or the cars are acting up. But that's why you usually see a bigger premium on cars that are 96 and newer. Now the 300 SL, it was the only model of the 129 chassis to get an optional manual transmission. The V8s and V12s, all automatic, but this one is an automatic, and it was vacuum controlled, which that's what this is right here, sort of a vacuum reservoir. It looks like an alien's nest or something like that, but that is actually the vacuum pod. And let's go see if we can get into the trunk. All right. Wow. Not much to see in the trunk. The fuel tank's mounted back there. Just more of that Bruno Sacco styling, another LED to show you're locking or unlocking the car. Of course, that classic design with the Mercedes taillights. And, well, that's my simple little tour of the 129 Mercedes SL. Now, you can do Steve a big favor by subscribing to his YouTube channel, watching all of his older videos, go and do a rewatch on a few videos after this, liking and commenting. Sorry, I'm not as good or verbose or can fill us in without a bunch of jump cuts as I think of what I'm going to say next, but I'll continue to do my best. Thank you so much for watching.